How we all doing today? Or tonight? Day's already over. We're gonna be starting here, but getting set up right now on Instagram because this is gonna be a simultaneous live stream, man. How's everyone doing today? All right, let's get this set up on both ends, shall we? Oh, my phone is slipping over here. All right. And we should be good now on Instagram. Perfect. So this is kind of weird. I I did a dual setup once before, but I haven't live streamed in a very long time, so this is all kind of new. And hopefully it's all right on the Instagram side as well. Uh, you're gonna see me bouncing back and forth a bunch, so bear with me as I do that. But that's kind of what I wanted to do. I wanted to do a simultaneous live stream, so that's what we're doing today. Uh, Hello, everyone. Oh, my phone is slipping over here. All right, gotta like look like a wizard. Okay. So this is my first live stream in over 2 years. The last one I did, at least on YouTube, was when Six Flags and Cedar Fair officially merged. I did like an emergency live stream. So it's crazy to think it's been 2 years now since that happened. On Instagram, I've been doing other just random streams, sometimes when I'm at parks, sometimes just when I'm in my room or want to just do a random live stream on there. But it's always a fun thing to do, and especially in terms of doing a dual live stream is something like, I don't know, this I don't really see that much of. So let me just remind you all really quick of basically how this is. So I'm looking at YouTube right now. Hello, YouTube, the OGs. If you want, I'm not going to be sharing anything specific on YouTube, except like an opening thing that was there before, but it's not going to impact the remainder of this live stream. So there's YouTube, there's Instagram, just so we could collect as many followers together to basically do a retrospective, do a Q&A, and make a big announcement. So during the course of this live stream, you're welcome to leave questions or topics of discussion, and we'll kind of just take it from there. I have sort of a path I want to follow, but it's a pretty chill live stream tonight, so we can veer into different topics, you name it. And one other thing, on Instagram, I put out a thing on my stories in which you could fill out a box, and I'll be saying those things later on during the stream. Now, for Instagram, I may have to end the live stream on Instagram in case more come in. However, I did write some down that came before, so each end is going to be getting at least some things to for me to say. But if you want to go on Instagram and make me say random stuff, go ahead. But like I said, the main thing in terms of this is going to be just Q&A session and a retrospective and the announcement. So it looks like we already got some questions, at least on the YouTube end, that I want to talk about. So again, very chill, very non-structured at the beginning. Okay, here we go. I have StreamYard on here, so you'll see the questions pop up on YouTube. I'll just say them here on Instagram. Most anticipated coaster you're riding this year, if you have one. I do have one, but I'm not going to say because that might be a spoiler, and I like to keep my trip secret. However, I will say, if you want to do the math, what am I talking about? It is a new for 2026 roller coaster, and there aren't that many options. So there's your hint at one of my potential plans for 2026. Okay, let's see. I saw a few Adventure On questions. Hello, everyone on Instagram. You're welcome to leave questions as well. I'm just answering some on the YouTube front. You're building a Storm Chaser Nano coaster. I don't blame you. This is A great opportunity to do things like that. Okay, what do you think the new ride you showed on your last Adventureland vlog is going to be? Any ideas? So if you didn't see, I put a construction update on YouTube in which some fans of the park saw something in the parking lot, in which I went the following day and posted it on YouTube. You could see it there, as well as some Instagram posts. And basically, we saw parts in the parking lot and the carousel missing. So I see this as another question too. What happened to the carousel? I do not know. So that is a big question mark. So we'll have to see what happens with that. But going back here, what do I think the new ride is? You know, I was trying to discuss this with a few friends of mine, one who's like really good at like digging into the different ride models. And what I'm thinking is that, and this is just theory, this is not the official answer, but I'm thinking that Adventureland, you know, works a lot with SBF rides and Rides for You, if you're familiar with them. And to me, it looks like a pirate ship. But again, it's super strange, and it could definitely not be a pirate ship. Like, it has the blue supports of, I think, one of the SBS models, but it had these other pieces with these volute spirals that I just couldn't really identify. So that's sort of my idea right now. And you know, it's a pirate ship. Adventure got rid of theirs, so adding a new one would make the most sense in my eyes. But maybe it's something completely different. I get the feeling we may have the same anticipated roller coaster. Maybe. We'll have to talk about that later. Here, I'll answer a few more. Well, actually, I saw one on Instagram, or just a comment on Instagram from Fermenta and Stardust are my two most anticipated of 26. That is a great anticipated list. Fermenta looks amazing, and Stardust, I'll talk about it in a bit, going through the retrospective, but I unfortunately missed that during my visit to Epic Universe, so that will be something that I'm going to really try to prioritize come, I guess, my next visit to Epic Universe. I'm trying to get my brother there. We'll see if that ever succeeds. Or I just go myself another time. Okay. Oh, there we go. On a scale of 0 to 10, what do you think the name of the Giga Coaster at Carowinds is? Good question. No, I'm kidding. The Giga Coaster at Carowinds, that's Fury 325. So I guess a 10. Yeah. Oh, are you going opening day, March 21st? I will be trying to get there. I'm gonna try be at the park that day. There we go. Oh, that was me. Came over here to YouTube. Yes. So there you go. You showcase the beauty of this dual live stream. You could jump back and forth and do whatever. Let me just remind you real quick, in case you just came into this live stream, that if you want me to say something specific during the live stream, go to my Instagram, specifically the stories. There's a box there, and you'll make me say whatever you want on this live stream. Very dangerous game, I know, but we're gonna give it a shot and see what comes from it. So anyway, let's before you convince your bro to go to Epic, you have to convince him to go outside. He is a gamer. I respect gamers. I'll leave it at that. Yeah. Okay, so let's start off now with well, let me rephrase that as this. So this live stream, there are a few things I want to talk about. Of course, the title of this live stream, at least on YouTube, I should have put the title on Instagram. That's my bad. Whatever. It's a retrospective live stream. So I'm going to be going throughout the calendar year of my trips and basically my time with East Coaster Fan during the course of the year. I want this to be not only a look back at it, but with all of you guys here, I see this as a place to, I guess, offer suggestions or things that you guys want to see in the channel. And I'm going to be completely honest with you about a bunch of things that I was proud of that I released and things that I thought could be improved upon. If you didn't know, I'm an engineer. in non-YouTube. And, engineers face failure all the time. So it's something that I am completely okay with dealing with head on. And in my opinion, it just makes everything better when you can figure out things to improve each and every year. So that's the point of this retrospective live stream. I last did one of these in 2022. I don't think I did one in 23, but then 2024 I incorporated it into Coaster Life a bit, which we'll be talking about that later on in this live stream. But yeah, so it feels nice to be doing it as a official live stream again. So I'll be talking on all different aspects of the account, but I also want to make sure it's still entertaining for you guys as well. So let's see what else is. Let's see if anything else has come in. Oh, I hope they keep Moonchaser Ride in the park. Oh yeah, there's some interesting stuff with that. There are some photos I saw, but if you saw the original photos I posted, you saw that it was in a travel mode, basically. So I'm keeping my eyes on it, and we'll see if something happens. Also, either the official Huss rides or something related to Huss rides today posted something about a very similar looking model to Moonchaser. So we'll see what happens there. All right, let's keep going. So we talked about the retrospective, the Q&A, which we're kind of doing about, and there's something else. So let's just get this out of the way. A big announcement that I've been sort of teasing the last few days, or actually the whole month. I first teased it at the end of my year in review video, which I love those videos so much. They're some of my favorites to put out each and every year. Highly recommend it. I did at the beginning of this live stream, although I know it could be a little bit finicky there. So if you want to see it without any lag or basically how it was intended, be sure to check out that video. I'll even post the link to it in the YouTube live stream. There's also a hidden link in there if you want the song mix. I bet you didn't know that. Sometimes I just sneaks these random things in videos. It's fun. As a content creator, I have been enjoying that. But anyway, the big announcement. So at the end of that video, there was a video clip of me taking down a poster. And that was meant to symbolize something that I'm going to be revealing to you guys on this live stream one day early. I'm going to be creating a video officially detailing the announcement more in depth tomorrow. And what is that? Well, for a while now, I've had the goal of potentially moving. So take a look back, I guess, in history. So I'm originally from Long Island, New York. So there is really one amusement park on Long Island, Adventureland Long Island. And it means that every time I want to go somewhere, I'd have to go through the dead end known as Long Island, around New York City on the belt, and then basically from there go all sorts of places. I'd frequent Six Flags Great Adventure. Sometimes I'd go further out to Hershey Park. When I was a young kid, we'd go to Busch Gardens Williamsburg, and very rarely we'd go up north. And that's where I grew up. That's where I called home. That's where a lot of my hometown friends are. Cut to 2020, when I first started college, I always knew that I want to go away to college to sort of get a sense of what living on my own would be like. And in that, I chose to go to school at the University of Delaware, but also mean living in Delaware. And there I met a lot of people, some of which are on the live stream right now, which I'm super happy to have connected with. And I'm extremely grateful for our time in Delaware. But during that time, not only did I sort of get the experience of living on my own for the very first time, but it was my first time outside of Long Island living. Specifically in Delaware, it allowed me to be in this bubble of a lot of great parks. So you had basically this hour-and-a-half bubble of Six Flags Great Adventure, Hershey Park, Six Flags America, may it rest in peace, I feel like there's another one I'm forgetting about, but those were, Dorney Park. Can't forget about Dorney Park. I love that place. Sorry, just look at something. Oh yeah, so the link I posted in the chat is for the year in review video. So clearing that up. Okay, so back to what I was talking about. I had my experience at Delaware. That time is up. It's now 2026. I have since graduated from the University of Delaware. So where does that leave me now? So, of course, after graduating from college, there was the job search. That took a while, if I'm being honest with you guys, but I successfully landed a job in December of 2025. So if you noticed, there was a drastic decrease in the amount of output that I had in content in the latter half of this year. And that was because I was juggling a lot of different things. And the biggest of that was the job search that I thankfully landed in December. And it's an engineering role. I'm really happy with it. I'm not going to go into too much detail about that just because it's personal life stuff, but you're here to talk about roller coasters. So why do I mention that? Well, the job itself is in New Jersey. Yeah. So you may have caught on because the setting is very different from what I've had in the past, but I'm officially living in Jersey, which means I'm a little bit closer to some parks that I'm used to going to nowadays, specifically Six Flags Great Adventure. So come 2026, you're going to be seeing me at Great Adventure a lot more frequently, in addition to other parks. But yeah, basically, I am a Jersey resident, which is really exciting. So I'm still getting used to it. I've been in this place now for about 2 months. So it's been a bit of a change and just sort of getting used to everything. But I'm slowly getting myself more and more back into the rhythm of uploading videos. And there's just a bunch of things that I still need to upload that just got carried over to 2025. Case in point, like the latter half of content, including like most of the Midwest trip, summer visits. I did the Halloween stuff, but I didn't do the didn't do the Florida trip. So there are a lot of vlogs and other things on standby that I want to roll out. So that's going to be happening in addition to the new stuff that comes my way. So that also brings into question, what about the Adventureland stuff? Or what about Long Island? Well, my home I grew up on Long Island. It's always going to be a home. My family still lives there. My friends are still there. So I'm still going to be visiting Long Island, and more specifically Adventureland, pretty much the same as how I always did. So like, in terms of the construction updates, I did, went there maybe once a month, and that's maybe the rhythm, maybe once or twice a month, heading back to Long Island. And in terms of things like the opening day for Adventureland, that's still something I'm aiming to do. So, I mean, Adventureland, I only went to maybe like 2 or 3 times anyway. Meanwhile, Great Adventure, I'd usually average around 6 or 7 visits a year. I didn't I didn't plan to do that, but it's sort of just what came out. So that is basically the update. So you guys are the first to hear it, that I am now a Jersey resident. So any Jersey enthusiasts around here, hit me up on Instagram if you want to hang at a park. I want to see things. Oh God, yeah. Sean's a New Jerseyan now. Is that the term? Literally, I know nothing about it. I don't even know like if I'm in Porkroll or Taylorham part of Jersey, and I'm not going to dox myself to give you that answer either. But I appreciate what everyone's saying here on YouTube. Are you excited for Toro's 20th? Yeah, that's going to be exciting in 2026, and it's going to be smoother than ever. Curious what they're going to say at East Coaster this year in terms of that. Which, by the way, I will be at East Coaster. You guys are also the first to hear about that one too. So that's always fun. I mean, I'm the freaking East Coaster fan. I gotta go to East Coaster. It's like a requirement at this point. Have you ever been on the roller coasters at American Dream? I have, except for one, Sandy's Blasting Bronco. In terms of the water park, though, I've not been there. I've seen it from the outside. It looks very fun. A little expensive, but I'll get there one day. Welcome to the move to a new state for a new job. Got a new home park and posted fewer videos because of that job club. Woo! We're in Jersey, so I'm not gonna completely dox myself, but I'll just say Southern Jersey area. There's a big component of Southern Jersey, but that's where I'm gonna end. So Southern Jersey. Ryan, who's on Instagram, we can talk about that later on in more detail because I have a feeling we're going to chat about that. Okay. Yeah, 6-7 farming. Oh, you have no idea. That's for the request in Instagram. Yeah, exactly. Stay tuned. Okay. And have you ever been to the Coney Island Cyclone 10 times in a row? I'm trying to remember how much we rode Cyclone during Preservation Con in 23. I don't think it was 10 times, but it was a lot. And that ride is very fun, the marathon. Didn't get to Coney Island last year. Maybe I'll try again this year. And what do you think about the new ride at Adventureland, the one you showed? So talked about this towards the beginning. My theory on it is that it's a pirate ship, and we'll see if we get any more information, especially in terms of the carousel. That was something I was very surprised that I caught during that whole tour. All right, so there's that announcement out of the way. I'll have a video in more detail about this whole thing tomorrow, but very excited to share that update. Finally. It's been like a few months now that I've been here, but I want to hold off until my retrospective live stream to officially make it known to the roller coaster enthusiasts of the world. Plus, it's the off season. What am I going to do anyway? All right, so let's begin now with the 2025 retrospective. So, as I mentioned, this is going to start off going through all the things that I did in 2025, some of which have videos on the channel and have content on Instagram. Some do not, just because I was dealing with that whole job search and moving at the end of the year, so it kind of just got pushed. But I'm going to try to have everything out as soon as I possibly can. So I'm going to be jumping back and forth a bunch just to make sure I'm answering the questions on both ends. All right, let's go. So the 2025 season, where do we start? Well, it started off with a really big bang, or it started off with a big flash, the opening of Flash Vertical Velocity with its media day. Or actually, the day before that was the photo shoot, which I couldn't film, but was kind of a very, very interesting event. But I did end up in the picture, which is very cool. I've posted a few times to Instagram, but it is very cool to be in some marketing for a great adventure. And it made that day a little more worth it. But then 2 days after that was the media day, in which I got to represent East Coaster fan for the very first time at a media day with a sweatshirt and everything. So that was great. It was a very fun day, and I got my reverse POV on Flash Vertical Velocity, which is just sick. Sorry, I'm taking their trick. All right, but that was very fun. I also filmed that day the rollback, I believe the very first rollback with public riders on Flash Vertical Velocity. It's in the vlog that I filmed. I've been meaning to post it on Instagram. I didn't want to post it right away to Instagram during the media day, just because I didn't want to take away from the whole opening of the ride, but I feel like it's been enough time now that I could post that, and it would be in good fun to do that. Plus, it's just super crazy. I caught that on camera. All right. Who are you? I'm the East Coaster fan. I say that at the beginning of all my videos. Okay. Do you have any idea about any of the other coasters you'll be riding? I do have some plans. What I can tell you right now is that I have a plan in the spring for a new park, and then some of the other stuff in the spring is pretty much the typical things that you've come to know from me with the channel. Favorite memory of the media day was watching the Nintendo Direct. Yeah, there was a point when Flash Vertical Velocity was down after the Valley, and afterwards we decided to watch the Nintendo Direct in which they announced. I think that was the one they announced Tomodachi Life and Rhythm Heaven. No, that was another one. I think. Now I'm completely off. I gotta look back at that. If you could ride any defunct coaster from King's Dominion, what would you say? That's a good question. I had been on one. I had ridden Volcano the Blast coaster, so I am not going to say that one because I've ridden it before. I guess I'd have to say Hypersonic, just because I've never done an air launch before, and that one just seemed bananas. Curious to see the amount of airtime you would have gotten at the top of that peak. Yeah, elusive rollback sightings are always sick. It was really cool to witness. I wish I could have been on the train, but that's a whole nother debate. Yeah, no problem. That's what I'm here. I'm gonna be answering questions in addition to this retrospective. So let's see. I would choose Hypersonic XLC as well. Yes, that ride just looked crazy. It was the Tomodachi one and Rhythm Heaven. That's crazy that those games have still not come out yet. What the hell did Nintendo do last year? Okay. And congrats on being a New Jersey resident. Thank you very much. Let's move on past, well, the last thing I'll say with Flash, and let's see, do I have something? Okay. The last thing I'll say with Flash is that I expected Flash to have a lot more lines than it actually did throughout the year. Granted, there were a few busy days of Flash, like the opening day where it garnered a very long line. Wasn't there for that, thankfully. And of course, you have things like Fright Fest. But I think at most I waited an hour for Flash Vertical Velocity, just because of the queue setup being all weird. But I thought it would gain really larger queues throughout the course of the season. And I don't think that was the case. It sort of just, it peaked at the beginning and then fell off a little bit throughout the later parts of spring and summer, which is good because I got a lot more Flash rides this season than I initially thought. But it was a very interesting pattern. I think it was an overall problem with Great Adventure that I hope part of it is solved during this off season, and that I hope obviously the majority of it is fixed over time with the new attraction 2027 and other additions that would be great at that park. All right. Let's see. Okay. Next thing I want to talk about is the just Adventure on Long Island. So I attended the opening day of Adventure on this season, in which no new rides opened. I think, yeah, no new rides opened. It was just sort of the standstill of Wave Twister throughout the course of the season. Sorry, I keep yawning. So during the off season, I began a series on YouTube in which I did not weekly, but I guess the periodic updates of Wave Twister as sort of the man on the scene, just seeing what the heck was up with that attraction. And sadly, it ended up being delayed to this year. So it kind of gave me a lot in terms of Wave Twister construction update progress. But I do think it put a little bit of a meh perception on the ride in terms of the attendees of Adventureland. I mean, since I've been going to the park, I can't really remember a big ride delay like this. So not the best look for the park. And in 2026, I feel like they're going to be fixing that with the opening of Wave Twister in addition to the two other attractions. There's more problems with Adventureland that I personally have I want to make a video about it maybe someday, although I have a crap ton of videos already that are on my backlog and some that I want to make. But overall, I think I did 3 visits to Adventureland. Opening day, I did one in July. There will be a video coming soon. And then I did a visit in November where I didn't film a traditional vlog, but I did do a construction update from within the park. So that's about my average, like 2 or 3 visits to Adventureland a year. Seems good enough for me. Most enthusiasts would just go once in like 5 years, maybe more. The one thing actually I will say about Adventureland real quick is I learned this season a lot more of their deals. So like they have a Twilight Pass and did like deals throughout the summer. Personally, I wish they'd bring like the pop bands back, but if you're going to be offering the deals, I'll take that as well. Just so you could get in for like 20 to 30 bucks. And Wave Twister got Quantum Accelerator. Yeah, that's another 2026 coaster coming in. There are like 2026 is kind of a meh year for roller coasters, if I'm being honest. There's a few big standouts like Tormenta, and then there's some holdovers like Quantum Accelerator and the Mattel coasters. It's very odd. But yeah, that's pretty much it with Adventureland. The big thing there was just my endless tracking of Wave Twister, which I enjoyed, and I'm gonna be doing that until the ride opens. Maybe you'll get one more construction update if I'm back on Long Island. Otherwise, I'm hoping to get on Wave Twister when it opens, and I'll definitely have a video when I do that. All right, moving on now to Hershey Park. Did a bunch of visits to Hershey Park this season. Went on their opening day for the very first time. That was a blast. That was one of my favorite visits of this season, in which I thought it'd be a lot busier. Wasn't too bad. Had just a fun day at the park. And I don't know. I think the crowds just weren't there, which really surprised me in terms of a Hershey Park opening day. In terms of Hershey Park, their big addition this year was Twizzlers Twisted Gravity, a fantastic addition to the park. I'll have a video going over that in the near future of my first ride on that. It's a fantastic ride. One of the best Screamin' Swings I've ever been on. Didn't make it out to Dark Nights this year, but I did make it out to CocoCon, which I'll be talking about in a little bit. Do you ever recall being Mario Karted while playing a Mario Kart game? Don't know what that means. But I'll just say yes. What's your favorite overall park? Like feel and themes, not just rides. You know what? I'm going to go Islands of Adventure. There's something about the music and the atmosphere of Islands that is just so unique. And I feel like that is sort of the feeling that I want to get in a lot of different parks. And it's what draws me back there a lot of time. Even listening to the music on Spotify is great. The holdovers. Okay, yeah, 2026 is a pretty weak year. Let's see. Anything else? Oh, yeah. Wouldn't bet on Mattel Adventure Park opening in 2026. Darn. Whenever that park opens, we'll see. I will say one of the videos I want to make during this off season is one that I did 2 years ago, and that's going over all the coasters that are going to be opening this year. And I feel like this will be a pretty easy year to do it. So, you know what? I'm probably going to be able to make it fit. So maybe in like later in February or March, expect that. Beginning of February is going to be filled with a bunch of East Coaster stuff. That's my current plan in addition to like vlogs. All right, moving on from Hershey Park, we got a big one. This was something that I'd always planned for doing in 2025, and that was a really fun spring break trip that I did with Cam over at Hyper Thrills. We did a trip to 3 parks. We did Busch Gardens Williamsburg, in which I brought my GoPro to the park, and that was a blast. Finally got to use the GoPro at my favorite amusement park. We had a even better day actually at King's Dominion where they premiered Rapterra. Very fun wind coaster, my very first one that I've ever been on. And we also ate like kings at that park. We got the all day dining plan and just like periodically throughout the day kept eating, which is fun. We ate like kings, and then ended it off at Six Flags America on Easter Sunday. There's no better way of going to a park that's about to die than visit it on Easter. But in all seriousness, this was my final visit to Six Flags America. Throughout the entirety of 2025, I was trying my best to see if I could make one more visit to the park. So that's why I never really considered it my final visit to Six Flags America. But it ended up being that anyway. And it wasn't the best visit to that park. Basically, it was there for Rage and Cajun. Ooh, too big. So I got the Rage and Cajun credit, so I could say I got park completion. And yeah, I mean, rode the new SLC there, but it was kind of an odd way to end the trip, but kind of funny looking back at it. Six Flags America, of course, was definitely a very big loss that this whole East Coast region felt in 2025. And I wasn't at obviously, I wasn't at the final day of Six Flags America, but it was something that I was keeping up with during the course of the day. And I was very skeptical, if I'm being honest, about that day, just because of the crowds, maybe it's like the behavior from enthusiasts and other members of the general public and employees. It actually turned out to be a really great day from what I saw. And I'll be honest, I kind of regret not going to it. Same thing with Kingda Ka. I went the second to last day, but not the final day. There are reasons to that. But for Six Flags America, I don't know. I wasn't expecting much, and I think it turned out to be a really bittersweet ending for that park. Of course, I hope for the best. I hope that it stays an amusement park as a big fan of this industry, but we'll see where it ends up. Yeah, rip to the home park. I'm so sorry, man. That really sucks. I couldn't imagine that, and I fear too because in terms of places like Adventureland, that place is surrounded by so much industry. The park could just go like that. So that's why I'm really attached to the place even now. Just want to make sure they're doing the right moves so they don't succumb to all the industry that's around the park. Here we go. We got a question. What are your top 5 favorite amusement parks you've been to? You know what's funny? I just ranked my parks and roller coasters in case I were to do a video on it. I'll say my favorite park is Busch Gardens Williamsburg. It's been that way literally since like 15 years ago when I just kept going there as a kid. But without giving it completely away, since again, I want to make an update video on it. Busch Gardens Williamsburg is number 1 on that list. I'll just say that up front. And then the park that I'm going to be talking about later, Kings Island, really, really hit high on that list too. I also love Cedar Point, Knoebels. This is no particular order. I'm just naming parks that I love. Islands of Adventure is fantastic. Yeah, some great parks. Was it known that Six Flags was going to close then? I'm glad you brought this up because we did not know. Had I had known, maybe I would have talked about it being more of my final visit potentially. But we went in, I think it was like later April, and then 2 weeks later, I think, was when they announced the park was going to close. So I think when I edited that vlog in around July or so, I could make the edit saying like, we were kind of harsh on the park, but we didn't know it was going to be closing. As someone who was there the last day of Six Flags America, it was fun, super crowded, and Superman didn't make it to the end. Yeah, that sucked. But great to see everyone came out to say goodbye, and it is indeed brutal loss for the locals. Yeah, again, I hope for the best for Six Flags America. In total, I visited twice. That the visit this past year in April, in addition to the my first time there in 2021 for Celebrate America. Really happy I got to. That's really happy I got to celebrate America that year. That's one of my favorite vlogs. Has a fantastic moment in it during Fright Fest that you reference to Michael to this day. Okay, what's the best row of seats on Turbulence? That's a good question. I feel like so there's three answers to this. There are two answers. Of course, you got the extremes, front and back, always fun, but like you're spinning anyway. So I'd say if I had to choose those two, the back is a lot more fun just for going up the lift hill backwards. But don't sleep on the middle car of Turbulence, since I feel like that one has always spun just a little bit more than the rest. And you get that thing off balance, you're just gonna keep going. No dampeners on Turbulence. They just let that thing go, and that's why I love it so much. Speaking of Turbulence, I meant to bring this up during my topic of Adventure Run, but Turbulence turned 10 years old, so that was great to be at the park for its 10-year anniversary. Wish the park would actually have done something for it more officially, but at least on a personal end, I got to celebrate its 10-year anniversary. Okay, let's keep moving on. What were we at? Okay, we discussed the spring break trip, and that was a lot of fun. Let's talk about the other big trip, the Midwest trip. So a bit of background on this one background on this one is that earlier in about January, February, me and a bunch of other friends were talking about potentially going to Hollywood Nights. And Michael, who's in the chat right now on YouTube, he was able to obtain a ticket to Hollywood Nights. And if you know how the system works for Hollywood Nights, if you get a code, you're allowed to get 2 tickets. So Michael was able to obtain a code and offer the other ticket to me. Very generous. And it meant I could go to Hollywood Nights and plan a Midwest trip. I wish I had the original crazy plan that I had for this Midwest trip, because it was nuts. It had me like doing this gigantic circle, visiting so many parks that I want to get to someday, but couldn't do it. In total, the Midwest trip consisted of 3 different parks, starting off with Kings Island. So, referenced this before, but this was my first ever visit to Kings Island. Had a great time at this park. This park's just fantastic. Posted one of the vlogs already on YouTube, but there's 2 other Kings Island vlogs that are going to be coming. The second day in particular was one of my favorite days this season, just because we rode every coaster in a single day. Not too often you can say that for Kings Island. In fact, you could see I'm wearing Kings Island merch. The Beast. I love the Beast. I feel like it's really fun and one of my favorite wooden coasters. I'm being completely serious. Not one of the best, but one of my favorites that I just love the attraction so much. It's a ride I always want to ride as a kid, and it was so great to get on. But then you also had Orion, Diamondback, Banshee that I really liked. Mystic Timbers was fun. I'll be honest. I feel like it's a bit of a hot take that I prefer some of the other coasters to Mystic Timbers. But in terms of a GCI, it is very well done. And just the park atmosphere was something that I was really impressed with during my whole time there, and got a great feel of the park. And in doing so, really shot up in my park rankings. I still come to see in probably a future video of mine. But man, I love Kings Island. There is literally not a bad roller coaster there. Adventure Express is even fantastic. Racer is fantastic. The Bag, oh my gosh. So many good attractions there. And it's eagerly a park that I'm wanting to go back to, just because I had such a great time. Maybe in conjunction with the Cedar Point. Got to get back there. It's been way too long. But man, Kings Island, what a park. Let's see. Yeah, that day at Kings Island was a lot of fun. And Beast is one of the goats. We did it both during the day, and then we got a Lorot knob. That is last ride of the night on Beast, if you're not familiar with that acronym, in the front row. Jesus. It is probably one of the best night rides I've done. Probably not the best. I would still say Boulder Dash and Voyage have it beat. But man, what a roller coaster. So good. This is a great moment in the third vlog that's not posted yet, but you'll see it eventually. It's in the recap video, most of these moments that are going to be in the comments. But watching the Tomb Raider Defunctland video next to the old Tomb Raider building was very funny. Yeah, that was great. I can't tell you if anyone's ever done that before. And we tried tagging Defunctland. Didn't get anything back from him. We'll see if we even saw it. Kings Island is excellent, and the Buckeyes State's greatest in history. Kings Island really does so much well, and it's very enjoyable just to be in. My favorite Six Flags park currently. It is very high up there, I'll be honest. And then, of course, the post-log flume pick. Good lord. I was not anticipating the log flume of Kings Island to be that soaking wet. But there's that picture that exists of me coming off that log flume just completely soaked. It was like a freaking wave of water just hit me in the face. It was wild. Also did Boo Blasters in its final year of operation. That's being rethemed this year to its old IP, Phantom Manor? No, that's the Disney ride. Why am I blanking on the name? Phantom Theater. Okay. I'm glad I got that before the comments came in because I would have looked very dumb. But especially with a beach shirt on. But oh my god, Kings Island, man, what a place. So well run. But of course, that was only the first part of the Midwest trip. You had Holiday World come next. Now I want to talk about Holiday World first, separately as a park, because my opinion on Holiday World drastically changed during the course of my time there. So 2 days, Friday and Saturday. The Friday was very rainy. In fact, we actually were able to get the worry-free guarantee, which we did not use, but we could have this Sunday. So part of that dampened the day a little bit, no pun intended. But even without that, I was looking at the park, seeing all this like blacktop everywhere, and I don't know, part of me wasn't really feeling it at first. Calm down. But something changed, and I don't think it was even Hollywood Nights, but just riding some of the roller coasters more and more. Legend in particular. Oh my god, that coaster is fantastic. You had, of course, the Voyage, one of my favorite coasters now ever. And riding at night later on during Hollywood Nights just increased that greatly. But I love Voyage even during the day. Even during the day, it's like one of the top coasters, and you could still see everything. It's just such a wild experience. You had Thunderbird, which I rode Rakterra earlier in the year, and riding Thunderbird was different in all the best ways. The launch was great, pulled some really amazing forces. It was just so much fun. Being tucked away in the back, it didn't have a line. You could have lapped it as much as you want. So such a fantastic roller coaster collection at Holiday World. And whatever they're planning maybe to put in that rapid section, if it's a coaster, that would be fantastic. If it's more flat rides, that would also be great. They had some good flats at Holiday World, but I'd be more than happy to see more flats into that park, maybe more modern ones. Like a Nebulous would be great at that park. Or just other attractions. But man, Holiday World's just so good. Oh yeah, free Pepsi. Why didn't I think of that? Free parking, free soft drinks, which we abuse the hell out of at Holiday World. Free sunscreen, which is everywhere in the park. And geez, you feel like you're being treated so well. The people are so nice at Holiday World. Yeah, it is just fantastic. And can't forget even too about Splash the Safari. Just another amazing part of that park. One of my favorite water parks I've ever been to. And it's a weird one though, because it doesn't have a single body slide, but all the tube slides are just so good. It has probably my favorite water slide now in Mammoth, Will the Beast is also amazing. Cheetah Chase is great. They have some really fun raft slides. Just so much fun. Oh, an amazing wave pool as well. And we got ERT on that as part of Hollywood Nights. But even like the log flume of Holiday World was great. So many good things. But obviously the roller coasters are what stand out there. And like Legend, Voyage, Thunderbird, all stand out. Good Gravy. Can't forget about Good Gravy. That ride's so fun too. It's a great family boomerang. And I also don't want to forget about Raven, which even though it's probably my least favorite of the wooden coasters there, it would like be a shining wooden coaster at any other park. Like you put that at Clementon Park, ooh, that would work. I'd be riding that thing all the time. I see some commotion here in the comments about Beast. What makes you love the Beast at night? You do like feel that like relentless speed, and it's like pitch black in those woods, so it just makes it feel like it's running faster, and you don't know where you're going. Plus the tunnel at the end of the ride, you don't know when that turn's gonna hit, and oh, it's so good. And in terms of Holiday World, yeah, it is such a fantastic park. Do not sleep on Holiday World. I know it's a hard park to get to, but if you can make it out there, you're going to have a really good time. All right, but there's more to Holiday World. There's, of course, Hollywood Nights, the enthusiast event that everyone wants to go to, and I can see why. It's a lot of fun. I said this to a bunch of the enthusiasts there, but it's probably the best enthusiast event for a single park. What I mean by that is there are some other things like CoasterCon, for example, which I feel like, it's stretched along multiple parks, and you really get a good sense of each of the parks that you go to in terms of a lot of ERT. Hollywood Nights is more than just the ERT. Of course, you've got Trimless Voyage and all the other night rides. ERT is a big component of it, but like the tour that you get fed really well, like the whole Thanksgiving dinner. And just the enthusiast community that exists at Hollywood Nights is so amazing that makes it really special. And of course, it's a hard event to get into, and I could see why. I wish there was a way that more people could experience Hollywood Nights, but I also want to make sure that the event is run well. So hopefully there's that like happy medium that they try to go for in the future. But it was great. I loved our theme, Beetlejuice. This year they're doing Mean Girls, which I'm excited to see in action. Basically, like when the ERT starts, they're at the park. They have the theme music of the movie playing. It's really cool. Even some like theme snacks. So really great. Can't wait to showcase the content from Hollywood Nights. Just the energy was wild. And I can vouch for Voyage at night. All the coasters at night are incredible. Like I'll be honest, I don't think the trimlessness of Voyage, I'm not gonna say it wasn't noticeable because it definitely was in that second half. But if it was just still night rides on Voyage, I still would have been completely happy with that. Night rides on Legend. Oh my god, that is such an amazing night ride. Even Raven going into the woods, Thunderbird also going into the woods. When you're doing those turns, you're in complete darkness. Yeah, it's just a lot of fun. Even on like Thunderbird, we saw the like musicians practicing, and they posted that "Pour Some Gravy on Me" video. They filmed that during Hollywood Nights, so I got to see some of that in action too. So, God, and ended up loving Holiday World. Such a fantastic park. And let's see. Is it for the first time before returning for Hollywood Nights next year? And it was already one of my favorite parks. Yep. And then free amenities, elite wooden coaster, Splash and Safari, amazing water park. Just the hospitality is fantastic. Favorite night ride's Apollo. You know what? Apollo is a fantastic night ride. I love Apollo night rides. If you try to go for that next time you're at Busch Gardens, if you've never done it before, especially towards the front, when you're diving into those valleys, you see nothing. It's so good. Good Gravy, the only roller coaster with a Rhode Island license plate. You never see those. Anyone get that movie reference? Anyone? We'll see if anyone gets it. Okay. There was one more park on that Midwest trip. Won't spend as long on this as the other two. That's Kentucky Kingdom. Not gonna say I hated Kentucky Kingdom, but it was an alright day. Mostly there for the credits. But the park's also in this like weird phase right now that it's sort of in this really big limbo of trying to transition from the Ed Hart era to Herschend. And Flying Fox is going to be a fantastic fit in that park. It is something that that place desperately needed, a nice step-up roller coaster, because they have a lot of extreme stuff. And also, I guess, Kentucky Flyer wasn't too impressed with that, if I'm being honest. But, you know, going from there, you're going to have a nice roller coaster in Flying Fox. So that'll be exciting, and I'm going to be keeping track of Kentucky Kingdom the more it expands and becomes a theme park, because it definitely has a lot of potential. I just don't think some of it was present during our visit. I don't think that's the fault of just the park in general. I think it's just changing. So we're sort of in the middle of that. We're also there the same day as Coaster Studios, which is kind of funny. Same with Hollywood Nights. He didn't film a video for that, but he was there. A lot of enthusiasts were there. Man. Yeah. Oh, yes. Was Discovery Meadow there when you went? It was, and it is fantastic. Can't wait to show that in the video, but it is so beautiful. I've never been to a Herschend park, so that was my first time at one. But so maybe Michael or someone else in here can vouch for how Discovery Meadow felt in relation to some of the other Herschend properties. It looked very nice. It was very well shaded, had a lot of character to it that I really enjoyed. Not a fan of the renamed rides, Woodland Run and Wind Chaser. Good lord. Not a great name for that RMC, but it's a fun ride. And then, yeah, some of the other coasters are all right. I really like the Lightning Run. That was very fun. I could definitely see why some parks wouldn't buy some of those, because it's sort of an odd attraction, but it is still very enjoyable and has some great airtime. And of course, since it was my first Herschend park, I got to try that good cinnamon bread for the first time. Pretty good. I'm not sure if it would be as good as the one that's literally at Dollywood or Silver Dollar City, but it tasted pretty damn good. So I'd have to try it at some of those other places. An amusement park being bought by Herschend that might be turning more into a theme park. Sounds familiar. I think Kentucky Kingdom is heading sharply in the right direction. It was in such a weird state when I went in 2023, especially with T3. That wasn't there when we were in the park. That was demoed. And the water coaster, both just sitting there. I guess the water coaster wasn't there either, right? Yeah, I don't remember. There was like a big chunk of the park that wasn't even open. That whole area by the former Larson Superloop by the storm, their rapids was taken out, so they have a lot more land. And I think that's sort of why the park felt smaller to me. Granted, we were also coming from like Kings Island and Holiday World, but there is a lot of potential in Kentucky Kingdom, a lot of places where they can put stuff in, and that's why I'm really excited about their potential. Yeah, Discovery Meadow was nice, but it did feel like we have Wildwood Grove at home. Well, I don't think you're going to get anything like Wildwood Grove at Kentucky Kingdom, but they gave it their best shot, in my opinion. Both got demolished, but they were right next to each other. Gotcha. Okay. And guess yeah, I've been to a Herschend park just back when it was owned by Palace. Yeah, I've been to Kennywood. I've also been to Splish Splash back on Long Island. That is now a Herschend park, weirdly enough. What else? Dutch Wonderland I've been to when I was a kid, like compounds. So there's a few Herschend parks that I've been to now, which is weird to say. All right. That was the Midwest trip. Very fun. Can't wait to showcase more of it on the channel, because right now there's just a single day at Kings Island. So there's a lot of stuff that you haven't seen from that that I'll be able to vouch for in a bit. Real quick, let's talk about Six Flags Great Adventure. So we talked about Flash earlier in this stream, but I just want to talk about the rest of the season where, yes, it did feel very weird. King Ka, of course, not being there. Green Lantern was gone. Superman was sort of alone in the boardwalk. You had all the other flats that were taken out as well. So in this long walk to get to Superman, very strange. But then just really felt disjointed. The only good part were Flash opening, which again discussed earlier. They renovated the restaurants, which were fantastic. Really loved what they did there. Hope they continue that with the rest of the park. And then they did the DC Heroes and Villains Fest, which I feel like a lot of people have forgotten about, but don't sleep on that because they did try to bring some life into a, let's call it a very like fillery and mid-season for the park. So I can see they were trying to do what they could with the resources they had. I just hope going forward, we're out of this weird year of 2025. Let's start doing stuff. And part of that was originally going to be with the coaster that got delayed. So take that extra year and do more TLC. With this long of an off season, no holiday in the park, you should be doing a lot of TLC at Six Flags Great Adventure. And I hope we hear that at East Coaster. I am praying that we do. Let's talk about Great Adventure is the sentence of the year. I would actually say it's the sentence of all time. I feel like every single year I say that. Let's talk about Great Adventure. Oh boy. Okay, let's keep moving on. There's a few other things I want to get to. CocoCon. Oh, this is a great event. CocoCon is always a blast. This is my third one, and this year was highlighted by Stormrunner ERT, which we abused the hell out of Stormrunner. Rode it 15 times in just a single day. Most of that was during the ERT. And it's been a while since an ERT has made me tired and wanting to take a nap. That was one of them. It was a great day. We were able to manage the crowds very well throughout our visit. That's with Cam, David from Stormrunner, Sam, and Amanda. All had a great time. And Michael was there, right? Were you there? Why am I blanking on that? You'll let me know in the comments, probably. I don't think. I don't know. I don't want to sound like a fool, but yeah, that was a really fun day. But then Hollow Thrower came around, and that was an even better day. I know you were definitely there for Hollow Thrower. Okay. No. Okay. Yeah. That's what I thought. You weren't there. I didn't want to sound like a damn fool. But Hollow Thrower. The only thing with Hollow Thrower that was a bit of a negative was the sort of switching around of their fright lane, which meant we could only get to or skip the lines for the haunted houses and not the attractions. With that nitpick out of the way, it was still a very fun visit to the park and one that I really try to do each and every year. Even like Halloween Haunt is something now in my new location I really want to try and get to haunt 2 times in 2026, especially since I don't think I'm going to be doing a bigger like Halloween Horror Nights this year. So with that extra time, maybe focusing on 2 visits at Halloween Haunt since it's just such a fun time. They do that event so well. Speaking of Florida, that was a big chunk of September. So I always knew that I wanted to go to Epic Universe in its opening year. But I had some extra time in which I could plan another Florida trip. So this was a really good Florida trip. One of my favorites that I've done, in which first day was spent at Islands of Adventure. This is just a repeat visit. There was nothing really new there per se since I last visited in 2023. But nice getting on the Velocicoaster again. And a lot of the rides that I haven't done in a while or I haven't done at all. I did Popeyes for the first time this visit. I did Jurassic Park River Adventure for the first time. Weird that I've never been on that one, although I went on the one in Universal Hollywood. Yeah, some others that I haven't done in a while. Dudley Do Right. That's a fantastic log flume. You had just the roller coasters, Hagrid's, Hulk, of course, Velocicoaster. Some of the flat rides like Forbidden Journey, so good. And having a full day at islands instead of park hopping meant you could really focus on each aspect of the park and really uh, kind of dive deep into all the lands, which I really enjoyed. But that was the precursor to what came the following day. Epic Universe, baby. So this is the main goal of this trip. I went with my friend Noah, who we also went to Islands Adventure with, but also made sure to go together to Epic Universe. Of course, this was during that week in which Stardust was closed due to what happened. I'm not going to go into detail about that, but of course, the incident on Stardust meant that it was being investigated and was closed. So that was a bit of a bummer, although out of my control. Couldn't do anything about that. But I will try to get on it next time. What was there still was pretty much all the other roller coasters, Hiccups, Curse of the Werewolf, and the world-class dark rides, Monsters Unchained and Harry Potter and the Battle of the Ministry, which thankfully got on. I wasn't sure about getting it that day, but we stuck it out at the very end of our visit. Super happy I did. Epic Universe, such a beautiful park. Still has some room for improvements. There were some technical delays during our day. So I'm not going to say it was the perfect amusement park day or anything like that. And I don't expect you to go in thinking that it is going to be a perfect day. But what is there is really special, and it can easily grow into an amazing theme park. And right now it's still very good. So I recommend everyone gets there and experiences it for themselves. Let's see. I haven't done Dudley or Popeye since 2011. Recommend you. Well, are they open? I don't know. Definitely recommend you should ride them sooner rather than later because they're so fun. Although with Dudley, I packed flip flops for. Okay, prepared. Also wore those on Popeye. Although I feel like with that one, if you just stick your feet up towards that like center circle area, you should be fine. As long as you have long legs, I guess. But I got soaked on Popeye. Really enjoyed the ride. It's probably one of my favorite raft rides. And it's very rare when I do water rides in which I get that soaked. But I was in Florida. It was around middle part of the day. I knew it would have dried off in time for Halloween Horror Nights and the other stuff. So we decided to go for it. A few other things we did in Florida. So SeaWorld Orlando, another repeat visit. They had that new simulator that was there, but we didn't do it. So what we did do, though, was 2 new roller coasters, in which you'll see in the vlog that is eventually posted. Did Pipeline, very interesting ride. I'm not going to glaze Pipeline or anything like that, but it is still kind of an interesting attraction. And then Penguin Trek, which is also another very interesting attraction. I like SeaWorld Orlando. I know some people don't enjoy it, and trust me, there are some glaring issues with SeaWorld, like the food prices, for one thing. But if you want to go to a park in which you can literally just like marathon, I feel like that's a great place to do it if you go on a non-busy day. They do Popeyes in 23. Yeah, we passed by it saying "afraid to get wet." Still prefer Grizzly River Run as far as rapids. I've never done that one. That one looks fun though. Expedition to Sea, made by Christopher Nolan. Yeah. See, a lot of people love Pipeline, and I'll just say I think it's good, but I wouldn't go past that. I'm just not the biggest fan of stand-ups in general. I like Riddlers at Magic Mountain from what I remember, but that's sort of where it ends. I was not a fan of Green Lantern. And I guess Pipeline's better, but I'm just not a fan of those positives on your legs. I want to try some of the smaller ones, like Georgia Scorcher. Well, I'm really curious to see what I think of a ride like that, which has, I guess, less positives. Oh yeah, so then one more thing. So we did SeaWorld Orlando the first half of the day, and then I was joined for a second part of the day doing something very interesting that I'm going to call the Disney Speed Run, in which I sounds crazy saying it, but I really wanted to get on Tron, just because that was the main credit that I was really trying to get at Disney. My friend that I went with to Epic Universe was working at Disney and was able to offer me a ticket, a free park hopper, which I took advantage of. How did I take advantage of it? Well, I probably held the record that visit for the shortest visit ever, or hold the record for that day for the shortest visit to Magic Kingdom. Basically, I was in and out of the park in the span of 1 hour. Basically, visited at 5:30. The park closed at 6. Went straight to Tron, rode Tron, maybe after like 30 to 40 minutes. And then left the park so we could head to Hollywood Studios. So in and out within the span of an hour is craziness. And then the park closed at 6, so it could be transformed into Not So Scary. So sort of being kicked out of Not So Scary Halloween Party. But I could say I was there, I guess. And the reason I wanted to go to Hollywood Studios was to get my final ride on Rock and Roller Coaster. There'll be a rip for that, as well as Dinosaur coming very soon. But yeah, I wanted to get on Rock and Roller Coaster one more time, just because I'm very like cautious on the whole Muppet thing, and I wanted to ride it with Aerosmith with a fresh mind. And I'm happy I did. I did. I think Rock and Roller Coaster was the only attraction we did there, because there was like this weird power incident that happened that day that I think canceled Fantasmic for the evening and messed up some of the other rides. But we were able to do Rock and Roller Coaster, thankfully, so that was the goal. Free ticket is the only justification. And not spending a full open to closed day at Disney does not comprehend in my brain. I'm the same type of guy who would stand at the entrance gates of Universal and Disneyland. And my thoughts on Tron, thanks for bringing that up. I really like Tron. I rode it during the Aries mode, so as a Daft Punk fan, I probably would prefer next time to ride it with the main Tron Legacy score. But it's a very interesting roller coaster. It's still very fun. The launch has a good kick to it. But yeah, it was a fun ride. It's a lot more of like an arch position where you're laying on your stomach, more than I thought it would be. So that I think I just was something I wasn't used to, and I was also looking around a bunch, so it kind of threw off a lot of things. So I think a rewrite on Tron would definitely be warranted the next time we go, and maybe just a full day at a single Disney park other than Epcot would be pretty nice, since I've been going to Epcot a lot, so I've been on Guardians quite a bunch now. But then, literally, like going to the Magic Kingdom for an hour is craziness. Okay. The last major park of that Florida trip was Busch Gardens Tampa. So went here 2 years ago for my first time, and I was very mixed on the park. Now, you with the whole condition of Busch Gardens Tampa recently, you probably would have thought that my opinion would stand, but I actually had a really great visit to Busch Gardens Tampa in September. It was, I guess, one of the rare days in which like basically every single roller coaster was open and there was like no one in the park. So I was able to bring my GoPro to the park and just have a field day on those attractions, especially since I wasn't really able to use my GoPro originally. So I could literally film on every single ride that I did. And granted, Busch Gardens Tampa still has its problems that, like, for me, I don't even compare it to Busch Gardens Williamsburg at this point. But in terms of the roller coaster collection, it is still very fun. There's a lot of rides in which I enjoy at Busch Gardens Tampa. Cheetah Hunt, Iron Gwazi, Chikra, Montu, love that attraction. I'm even a big fan of Cobra's Curse. The one roller coaster in which I didn't get on, and it's really unfortunate, was Kumba. I'm starting to have a battle with Kumba since I missed it on both of my 2 visits, and I now have a literal FOMO of missing out on Kumba. The reason I couldn't ride it was I was there when it was open, but it was during like that whole pass holder opening thing, and I'm not a pass holder for Busch Gardens, so I had to stand there and watch Kumba cycle with like barely anyone on it, and then there's uh, a tenant at the gate checking passes. So that really sucked. But I will try to get Kumba one day. It needs to happen. I can't be an enthusiast of nearly 20 years and never been on Kumba. Just it's so bad with me as an East Coaster fan. Okay. Let's see what's going on. I regret not going in 2024 when I went to IAPA. I'm assuming that refers to Magic Kingdom for Tron or Busch Gardens Tampa. All coasters were open and it was right before Kumba had its long closure. Oh yes, okay. It was Busch Gardens. Yep. All right, just clarifying that. Yeah, I mean, recently the park's been struggling, man, in terms of operations. You have just this cycling of park leadership. You have this maintenance is like all over the place. So many just random ride closures, a lot of other closed things. And then remember that whole thing at the beginning of the year in which Busch Gardens Tampa literally got flagged by like the FDA or something like that for one of their restaurants. Just craziness, man. Like how does that happen? At first, I was so skeptical of them adding a Chick-fil-A to Busch Gardens Tampa, but if their main restaurants are going to be having like all these problems, I don't know. So hope for the best. Hopefully 2026 they start to get better with their park operations. But yeah, not good. Need that park to improve to be Busch Gardens. Halloween Horror Nights. So this was another thing I was able to squeeze in since I went in September. I went last year for the first time. I absolutely loved it. And I went again, this time for 2 nights. I'm pretty happy that I did that because it was a lot busier, I felt, this time around than last time. My first time when I combined Halloween Horror Nights with Skynext, I feel like I was able to accomplish a lot in a single night. And this time, it didn't, at least for the first night, we primarily focused on the houses and the sound stages. And that took up a majority of the night. I'd say if you're going to Halloween Horror Nights, just prepare to wait because if you don't have like any skips or something, you're just going to be in cattle pins all night. So make sure you're with someone you know so you can socialize and not be alone. But the second day, I think, was much better. I think it was that was a Wednesday compared to a Sunday. So makes a little more sense. Although every day is busy at Halloween Horror Nights. It's just how it is. So basically, I did the majority of the houses. There are some I skipped. Jason Universe I sadly missed, but I did Terrifier. I did FNAF. Like that was the main reason I wanted to go back to Halloween Horror Nights, just so I could see the Five Nights at Freddy's maze for myself. But it was a lot of fun. Halloween Horror Nights. I highly recommend it just because the mazes are literally so good. Scare Zones, I think they're a little better than the prior year, but I still think some other parks, I don't know, like I really like the Scare Zones at Halloween Haunt I think, more than Halloween Horror Nights, which is crazy to say. And I gotta eventually get to things like Not Scary Farm, which looks otherworldly. But overall, highly recommend Halloween Horror Nights. I'm curious to see what they do for their anniversary year this year. For Bushcars Tampa, I beg that they give a president a real chance. And even with suboptimal circumstances, I heard HHM was awesome. Houses were amazing this year, and that's really what I go for when I go to Halloween Horror Nights, just to see these houses. And you're in condo lines the whole time, so you really get a great view of everything. Terrifier in particular had a very cool ending in which the maze split, and there was a wet and dry path in which it looked like you were getting doused in blood. FNAF had the animatronics, of course. Just so much work goes into those houses. It's no reason why they get those long waits. That's just the thing you sort of just have to burden going into the event. You're going to be waiting an hour plus for a majority of the houses. But if you can also strategically do HHN, it is great. Missed their stage show Nightmare Fuel this season, which I really liked a lot in 24. But it's okay because I feel like I got to explore a lot more of the scare zones instead of rushing through them in one visit like in 24. But yeah, very fun. I don't think I'm doing Halloween Horror Nights again this year or the next few years, unless there's something like really freaking stand out that would make me want to go back. But I'm pretty happy with my Halloween Horror Nights visits now. So we'll see where that ends up in terms of repeating Halloween Horror Nights. All right, and then the last thing was the most recent Hershey Park Christmas Candy Lane. So this year's holiday schedule was very strange because you had Great Adventure. It went to the end of November, which was very nice. Now that whole time frame, especially November, December, was just madness for me. I couldn't go to the parks even if I wanted to. So Great Adventure finished out season in November. Then you had the holiday events or holiday event take place. There's only one now since Holiday in the Park is no more. So Hershey Park Christmas Candy Lane actually went twice there this year. Once a few days, but I think it was a few days before Christmas. We went for my friend Amanda's birthday. That was a lot of fun. And then we went the second to last day of the season. So that was a lot of fun. I made my last coaster and first coaster of 2025 and 6, Shackalicious Laugh Track. Only makes the most sense. But Candyland's fun. I wish it had implemented some of the things that were formerly at Holiday Park. But I also sort of just wish Holiday Park was back. Retheme it to Winterfest, I don't know. But it was definitely strange. And I mean, we're facing a hard winter now, but I feel like December, you could have had some operating days in which you could have made that work. And that was pretty much it in terms of the park visits. Let me look at the comments here before we move on to just the general stuff. Would you go if they had a Sinner's Maze? I would honestly debate it, yeah. They need Skynex to happen during a Halloween Horror Nights again, and then combine them again. That would be nice. Those Hershey visits were very Shackalicious. They were indeed. We did Shackalicious quite a lot. But listen, it's cold. What else you gonna do? Wow, okay. So those are the park visits. I do have a few more things I just want to talk in generally with the channel and stuff. And to the people here watching live, or if you're watching after the fact and want to comment below, I appreciate all the improvement ideas, critiques, criticisms, anything that you want to see on the East Coast of Fan YouTube and Instagram. I really would appreciate it. just getting a general sense of what you think of everything that's going on. Is there something that I did in the past that you want brought back? Is there something that I'm doing that you really like? Say all those things, because I really take those things into effect when I'm editing, when I'm posting, doing all these things. And the off season is a great time to really reflect and do things like this live stream, just so I can uh, do everything that I want to do. And you bring up a really good one. I'd like to see a certain episode of The Coaster Life. Yeah. So, for everyone else's reference, me and Michael filmed an episode of The Coaster Life back in July. This is before you got your job, and then before I got my job. It's been sitting there. So, it sort of just got placed in the back burner with everything else crazy going on in my life with the job search and the move. Coaster Life is, I call that one of my failures in 2025, if I'm being completely honest. Trying to relaunch that just didn't work out. But I'm in a more permanent setup now. You can see right here, got the mic already set up. Boop, boop. So it should hopefully make things like Coaster Life and other ideas that I have more practical. And if I start getting more rhythm with uploading and creating content, I think Coaster Life should be coming back. I'll definitely be posting your episode though, and then from there we'll figure it out. Or whether or not I even keep the Coaster Life name, just because yeah, I really still enjoy the idea of the Coaster Life, what it represents, and how it can be implemented to share the stories of multiple enthusiasts, big and small. It's just a hard show to make, a lot harder of a show than I initially thought. And even like now, I'm doing a live stream for the first time. This type of long form discussion content is something I sort of just have to get back in the rhythm of, but it's something I still want to do and implement into my content. It was 4 days before the interview for the job I had now. That's crazy. I remember it. That was a long freaking episode too. We talked for like 2 hours, which is no reason I'm afraid to edit that monster. But we went into good detail, a lot more detail than I thought. But then also expanding it past just some initial friends of mine. I did that with T-Rose Bunny Adventure in one of the episodes of the Coaster Life. I really want to try doing more of that. Actually, let me switch this because we're basically talking of areas of improvement. So we kind of touched on Coaster Life. That's a big one. The other thing too is I don't want to promise anything daily on the Instagram side of things, but I also want to avoid these long gaps. I'm okay with skipping posting days on Instagram. That is completely fine. I don't want to go like more than, let's say, 5 days or so without something on Instagram, which maybe like once or twice a year I'll go on those long stretches. Another thing too, I was really a big stickler of like avoiding repeated content on Instagram, and maybe occasionally I would post a photo again. But I've been doing more of this like throwback stuff on Instagram too, in which, of course, part of that is looking back at the prior content. And what you might not know is that the East Coaster Fan YouTube channel is actually going to be turning 9 this year. I started back in 2017, but I had filmed content for it in 2016. So there's a lot of older content that you could surface on the East Coaster Fan YouTube channel. Oh God, it's so bad. I highly recommend you do not watch it, because the stuff I put out now is just actually YouTube videos, for one thing, instead of like the PowerPoint presentations that I did. But I mean, some of that stuff I want to post as like throwback. Some of that I want to revisit, like the top 10s and the rankings. Some of those things have stuck around or been implemented into new series. Like I used to have a discussion thing called Let's Talk. So like Let's Talk Invader, Let's Talk I think Breaker's Edge, the water coaster at Hershey was a topic that I did. So that sort of just got implemented into the whole discussion thing. There was a rip video I did like in those early years, and that eventually became its own series. So there are these small things that I do that could be implemented into potential new series. And there's been some others like that have been ideas in the back of my head that I could make into something. So this is sort of what I mean. Just if there's something you see from me that you like and want to see more of, just let me know in the comments here or in terms of the VOD of this live stream, because I really want to do what you guys like. And each year I kind of look at what was the most popular, what was the thing that people really enjoyed the most out of each year, and take that to heart for the following year. Yeah. 9 years of East Coaster fan is actually kind of crazy to think about. Not on Instagram. I started the East Coaster fan Instagram in 2021. So 5 years of that coming up. So that's really sick. Oh, we don't want to talk about Thunderbolt 10. Yeah, don't go looking at that video. It's really bad. That's why I need to like desperately update it. In terms of other series though, Brief History, I'm probably not going to touch that in 2026. Maybe in 2027 I'll go back into making one of those longer form things. I think I was just generally burned out from making Golden Kingdom for so long, and I'm happy I released it when I did, because basically right when Brief History of Golden Kingdom released, it was like the downfall of that whole area in Kingdom Come right after that. So couldn't have released that at a better time. There's behind the scenes things from that whole video I could post too. So let me know if you guys want to see any of that on my Instagram. In fact, with Instagram, I've also been getting a little more, I guess, just casual about what I post. So on Instagram, there were things like the Cartoon Network Hotel that I recently posted about that people seem to really enjoy. There was that Family Guy meme that I did with Fast and Furious Hollywood Drift that I think went over well on Instagram. So more things like that, and just funny things that I enjoy. Like it doesn't have to be just photos and reels and videos and whatever. It's just whatever I want. There's no real format to anything on my channel, and that's sort of why I like what I do here. This whole thing is a hobby. I don't make money on this channel at all. Even if I did, I probably wouldn't use it for anything other than the channel itself. But I'm just doing this all for fun, and that's sort of why I chose to do it in the first place. It's the same reason why I'm still an enthusiast to this day, and it's the same reason why I'm still going to keep visiting amusement parks, even if I didn't have this YouTube channel or Instagram account. So yeah, there's plenty of ideas that can go around, but also areas of improvement. The biggest one, of course, being more timely with the vlogs, and that is really something I'm going to be pushing for. I know I said that in the past as well, but just making sure, like, I want to set like a deadline for myself just to be on top of these things. It's just whenever I went on these longer trips, like the Midwest trip or the Florida trip, is where those things could just eventually pile up into something that would take me so long to catch up on. With 2026, I don't think that's going to be as big of an issue. At least at this stage, I don't have anything long-term planned. So going into at least the spring, I feel like there's going to be a lot of room to stay more timely with the uploads, especially with things that require it to be more timely, like opening days and ride openings. Those things I want to try and get out as quickly as possible. Or the seasonal stuff like Halloween and Christmas. Those things I try to get out within the general season too. Just something I like doing. So yeah, in terms of the other like 2025 stuff, that's gonna be sprinkled throughout the earlier parts of the season. But then once summer starts, with me being a lot closer to Great Adventure now, I think that is going to be something too that I gotta rethink about how I make those Great Adventure visits. Because back before, what I do is similar to my other vlog content, where every single time I go to Great Adventure, I would film a vlog there. Now, with me being much closer to the park, there's no reason for me to do that. No reason for me to do that. I could just go and eat and leave. I'm not going to make a video about that. But maybe there's other things that I'd like to do in terms of that. Maybe a little bit more long form series that would require multiple visits to do. So I want to get your guys' input on that, just not even now, but throughout the course of 2026, about what kinds of things you'd like to see from me at Great Adventure that maybe aren't being focused on as much, but also things that would work really well. Like, do you want to see the way I've been doing the Adventure on content at Great Adventure? Or like the amount, I'm not going to go as crazy with the construction updates like I did with Wave Twister, but even some of the smaller things that maybe people aren't focusing on. So in terms of like the bigger events, the opening days, any ACE events, any beginning of festivals, there'll still be vlogs for Great Adventure there. So those are still going to be staying, but I definitely got to rethink my approach to Great Adventure, and that's something that's been on the back of my mind going into 2026. In addition to hitting all the other Jersey parks, so no set plan yet for any of this, but you know, moving closer, there's a lot of Jersey places I've yet to visit. Especially like it's been 10 years since I've been to Jenkinson's, and I've yet to visit any other boardwalk park. That's crazy. I'm sitting at over 250 credits, and I haven't been up to a single boardwalk park. That needs to change in 2026. So that is something I'm really going to try to push for. And you bring up a good one. When am I going to get back to Kennywood? It has been 10 years since I've been to Kennywood. I last went in 2016, 10 years ago. That was one of my first videos on this YouTube channel, just park footage of Kennywood. So I got to get back there. Got to get on Steel Curtain. Got to get on Spinvasion and The Exterminator and Thunderbolt, which I'm missing the credits for those. Just a revisit of that park as Hershend, I think would be something really interesting. And it's a trip idea that's a little more practical in coming from Jersey than it would have been from Long Island. And I think that's something that I'm really appreciative with this move, is that it allows me a little more breathing room in terms of the travel. But it also means that I can frequent Great Adventure and do those things a little bit more. Of course, the job and other things in my life are going to come first, and that is going to stay the same no matter what. So like, I'm not going to be skipping in the middle work in the middle of the summer to go ride El Toro. That just doesn't make sense. But it does mean I could maybe in the summer after work run into Great Adventure and just check on the status of the park a lot more often. Say hi to friends and connect with people in those parks that I can call new friends. So just those things. So a lot of goals for 2026. I even see like your weight is warranted with Hershey now taking over. Oh, you have no idea. And I'm not missing much with Spinvasion. Hey, listen, I was a fan of Apollo at Dorney Park. I probably like that ride more than most. I also have the cheese fries. Speaking of other parks I need to get back to, Cedar Point. Only been there the one time for like a few days back in 2021. Every single freaking year, I say I'm going to try to go to Cedar Point, and it always fails. So, will 2026 be the year? I don't know. It's going to be tricky. It's just a hard park to get to, and I don't want to fly there, which means I'd have to go through that long freaking drive. If I did hit up Cedar Point, it would be very last minute, most likely. In terms of the other park visits, Knoebels is definitely a place I want to hit for its 100th birthday. That I can pretty much guarantee is going to happen in 2026. I'm going to try to get back to Six Flags New England. They're opening a brand new roller coaster, Quantum Accelerator. I mentioned the Jersey places already. We'll see maybe about Busch Gardens, because I still need Big Bad Wolf. I'd really be interested on checking out the new Verbolten. King's Dominion, we'll see. They're taking an off year this year, so King's Dominion isn't as big of a priority. But are there any other parks that you guys want me to go to in 2026? Is there anything local to you that you've been wanting to see more content of on the channel. And it doesn't even have to be something with a roller coaster. It could be something like Nunley's Carousel back on Long Island. That's been something I've been eyeing for a while now. Revisiting Bayville Scream Park or Bayville Adventure Park. Doesn't have coasters, but that's a very interesting property that would be worth seeing. Storybook Land, they hold a very great Christmas event in the region. That would be great to cover, being so close. So those things. I don't think Florida is happening. So I think really just exploring this region around me now is a great thing that I want to focus on. And I can either do that in the normal vlog format that I've gotten used to over the course of these years, or try something completely new. Speak of the format, I'm pretty happy with how I've been doing the format with like the background music and just intercut editing, all those things. The past few years, I've been trying to focus on pacing a lot more in my videos, and I'm very happy with how I've done that now. There's still some issues that I'm like seeing after the fact of like audio levels, but I think I'm slowly getting more accustomed to what works and what doesn't work. So just making sure that a video flows is sort of like the idea that I'm trying to do. Case in point, in one of the things that I've struggled to get rid of in videos in terms of the vlogs is shows. Beforehand, I was like, oh, the show is an important part of the day. Maybe I should include it in the video. And I'd always do so. But then, like, it's just a big pause in the middle of the video to intercut things with shows. And I liked including those clips in the vlogs, don't get me wrong, but they were pace killers. And looking back on those vlogs, it's the things that when I rewatch and I skip maybe like 10 minutes of a video, I'm thinking like, okay, why did I skip that? Why is there something I can do here that I can improve upon? So if you saw in the Candy Lane vlog that I just made, there was a 3-second thing of I watched the show in the Music Box Theater, and then I had my like a thing just talking about my thoughts on the show. But then I posted the full show as its own separate video on the channel. And it seems like you guys have been enjoying those show videos, so I'm going to continue to do those. But I think the way that's been implemented in my videos is something that I want to like maybe limit a bit more, but also showcase the entire thing so that you have it ready to go. Same thing with GoPro clips and videos. Having a POV implemented in a vlog can be a good thing or a bad thing. Like you don't want to watch the entire 5 minutes of a kiddie coaster POV, maybe, or maybe you do. I don't know. So like that's just been one of those struggles when I'm editing these things, and it's those things that can even impact the timeliness of those videos being uploaded, because GoPro footage is very unpleasant to edit into videos that I make. It like the whole frame rate, it's not fun, especially on this laptop that I have here that I edit on. Not fun. So those are just the things in my head that's going on as I'm making these videos. Of course, I want to continue doing like any big news stories that break, any big roller coaster announcements that come out. Case in point, like once we get a layout for Hollywood Drift, I want to make a video very similar to the one I did for Tormenta. Maybe not as detailed as that one because that was a freaking monster of a video to make, but still going over the biggest new coaster announcements in more detail, in addition to the giant compilation for 2026. So a lot of goals. Again, I could ramble on for another like hour and a half in terms of that, but I'm going to stop there. And if you have any other ideas or things you want to see on this channel, feel free to leave as a comment here, or you can DM me on Instagram if you have anything more particular. Even a criticism, feel free to leave it. for me, because I will really take into account what is being said by each and every one of you if it makes what I do here better and more entertaining. All right, so we've been talking for a while. So I think what I'm going to do real quick, this is your last chance, by the way. On Instagram, I put out a thing on my story. Let me pull up the comment if I still have it. This might be going back a while. Okay. So this is your last chance to do so. If you want to go on my Instagram story, what I'm going to do in a few minutes is go there and read off everything that is said in that question block so that it will live forever on this live stream, especially on YouTube. For Instagram, if you're watching on there, I have some that came in beforehand, but eventually I'm going to have to shut you off so I can access the others. So make sure you get any remaining questions on Instagram that you want if you're watching on there so I can answer them. Otherwise, you're going to have to go to YouTube. So I'll let that update in a little bit. Otherwise, I'm willing to answer. I'm willing to answer anything else that comes in the next few minutes, or other topics. Is there anything you want to talk about? Always fun. There are a lot of interesting things going on in the world of roller coasters. A lot of news. I'll bring up the topic that I wanted to talk about in November, but the whole job thing just kind of pushed it back until it meant nothing. Was IAAPA. I had notes on literally every single announcement that was made at IAAPA this year. And that's a video topic that I've been wanting to do for like 2 years, a great recap of IAAPA. But unfortunately, it just got pushed back to the point of I don't want to be making an IAAPA video now, especially when I could focus on the rips of Dinosaur that's coming up and the rankings and the vlogs that have been holdovers from 2025. I'd rather focus my attention on that. So I think it's going to wait for another year, sadly. But I think it just makes the most sense. And then another topic I'll bring up lastly is the Thanksgiving video. Always something I love to do every single year, and I'm going to continue doing it. There are some things that I noticed while making this current version of the Thanksgiving video that I am going to implement into a newer one. But I mean, did you guys like the theme of the whole fancy thing? Should I go with more themes during the future iterations of the Thanksgiving video? Or should I just make it a little more casual? Or I don't know. Whatever you find the most entertaining in the Thanksgiving video, or things you find boring, let me know, because I want to take those things into account for next year. Because I think obviously the thankful portions are really important, but the parts that the most entertaining is when you have the other enthusiasts just going crazy. Speaking of being crazy, April Fool's is coming up too, so I'll have something probably ready for that, whatever it is. I have a few ideas listed of just every year of things I want to do for April Fool's Day. Last year I did the suggestions for the channel, which ended up me at American Dream for a little bit, just randomly. So that was fun. We'll try to have a crazier April Fool's Day video this year, because those can go absolutely bananas, and it makes the most sense to do it on April Fool's Day. And it could be the most random crap. Recommend checking out some of them. There's some wild ones. Okay, let's see. We got some thoughts on the Thanksgiving video. Okay, Thanksgiving video was fun for me to film because I got to ride Pantherian. Yeah, you had a good clip in there this year. We have a few questions too. So If you could resurrect any defunct roller coaster, what would you bring back? Wow. There's so many, though. I feel like King Dakar would have to be one. Just like, it still feels very strange that that coaster's just gone. Even if it had to, like, leave Great Adventure, I wish it could have been resurrected somewhere else. Just, God. It's still sad that's defunct. I guess I want to try and think of other ones though, because that's an easy answer. I'd love to do like Rolling Thunder, so that could be like transformed into something really fantastic. Volcano. I wish there was a world in which Repterra and Volcano could coexist. What other ones, man? Yeah, I don't know. That's a hard question. I'll give you credit that there's so many answers. Good topic maybe for a video sometime. Obviously nothing has happened yet, but thoughts on the Enchanted Parks? Ooh. So if you don't know what this is referring to, there was a permit thing that got applied for some of the properties like Worlds of Fun, and I believe Six Flags St. Louis was another one, in which they applied trademarks for Enchanted Parks, like Enchanted Parks St. Louis or whatever. Who knows, man? That's very interesting. I don't know whether or not they're going to maybe split the company, split those parks off into their own subsidiary, or if it's a completely different company that they're going to be selling. Very, very strange. So definitely worth keeping our eye on that, though, because I feel like it's slowly slipping away from our consciousness. In fact, it just slipped away from mine until you brought it up. But yeah, very, very interesting. That could be a very big news story in 2026 if news comes out of that. Also very curious to see if it comes up in the next Six Flags earnings call, which I'm slowly sort of just getting more invested in as I'm getting older. Oh, you brought up a good one, Eagles Fortress. Oh, that one's so cool. That probably was like the best suspended coaster. That thing was sick. All right. I think those are the main things. It's time for me to be silly. Okay. So, like it says on YouTube and from you guys on Instagram, Instagram's making me say all this. So I'll say the ones that were listed before the stream started, so that way Instagram can get some. And then, but I'm unfortunately going to have to end the stream here so I can access the rest. And again, VOD of the stream is going to exist on YouTube, so be sure to go there in case you missed out or want to recap it. But let's go through. Oh, Dododonpa, good. That's a good one. And literally, there's so many. All right, I got 4 here that you're gonna get. Prepare. This is gonna be super cringy. Ooh. All right. The first one is 6-7. Ay, Jesus. All right. We're doing this for the live stream. Okay. The next one is a great 2025 meme. You know, we're reminiscing about 2025, so it only makes sense to throw out a chicken jockey. Fuck. Okay. And you didn't hear that curse word. I just did. Another one that this is a shout out. So subscribe to Blue Diamond Coasters. Honestly, I probably would have said that anyway, because he's been in here the whole time. But yeah, subscribe to Blue Diamond Coasters. Michael's releasing videos from his his backlog too, and I'm in some of them too. So if you want to see more of me from a different perspective, or see some of Michael's visits that I wish I could have gone on, go check out his channel. He has some good vlogs over there. Okay. Oh boy, this one's gonna suck. I'll be honest, I don't know the whole words to this, but it's the Lammy Lammy dance from Gravity Falls. So I'm just gonna do the first part. Hold on. I gotta stand up for this one. All right. Hopefully y'all can hear me. Who won the Lammy Lammy Lammy? I do. That was cringe. I'm so sorry. And I have to end off on Instagram like that. Oh, Jesus Christ. Okay. Well, Instagram, you just ended off with Dipper Pine's famous Lammy Lammy dance from Gravity Falls. I'm so sorry. I expect better content going forward, because that is unacceptable. So I'll end off on Instagram by saying, I hope you've been enjoying the content that has been coming out recently. There'll be more pictures, reels, and memes, and just random crap coming that I find enjoyable, and hopefully you guys like it as well. So if you join on Instagram, thank you so much for watching the stream, and enjoy the rest of this off season, because it's a brutal winter if you're on the East Coast. So there we go. Perspective shift. Woo! Okay, here we go. Say hi to the stream. I don't know where that pointed to. Did I point to the ceiling? I don't know, or whatever. Goodbye, Instagram. Thank you for joining for the retrospective live stream. YouTube, stick around because we still have some more. Okay. Man, those are cringe. And I still got more. Okay. I'm slowly regretting posting these, but you know, this is sort of what I do during these Instagram things where I post these prompts. Usually I have memes going over this, so I don't have to do anything, but if you're entertained, I'm willing to do it. All right, let's see if any others came in. So actually, you know what? I think there's only, I'll double check, but there's only one other one that came in. So this will be, I'm happy about that because Instagram got the majority, but we're gonna end off with the one that came in during the filming of this live stream. Here. I gotta lean a little back for this one. This is gonna be hard. My foot is burning like crazy. Oh, I'm sorry. That was cringe. Okay. I am tired. We're going into crazy territory right now. So I think we better end this live stream. Once again, thank you all, especially if you were here for the last 5 minutes dealing with this cringe. Thank you all for joining for this retrospective live stream. It was great looking back on 2025 with all of you, talk about all sorts of other content, and then just opening up about the different feelings I've had on both the YouTube and Instagram end of things. I'll try to do this again next year just because I feel like it's good every year to come back and see what has been successful, what hasn't been successful. So those things I think are important to the long-term health and growth of this channel. But also look forward to the content that is going to be coming out soon. So like I said, I told you guys at the beginning of the stream, my big announcement that I'm now in Jersey. So tomorrow there'll be a more in-depth video, hopefully, about that announcement. And most of it you guys heard on this live stream a day early, but there'll be a few other fun things that I'm going to include in the video too. So make sure you check that out. On Sunday is the closure of Dinosaur at Animal Kingdom, so it's transformed into Indiana Jones. So expect a RIP video to come out probably a day or so, if I had to guess, after the closing of Dinosaur. I'm going to see if I could squeeze out a vlog by then. And then we're going to be going into East Coaster territory. I'm going to try to get those out all at once this time around instead of just sprinkling it throughout, because I feel like the way I did it last year made me miss a bunch of stuff, and then like it's after the fact and it doesn't even matter anymore. So I think just getting it out as soon as possible is the way to go, and then we'll see from there. I don't have a set schedule in stone right now, and I try to be pretty flexible when it comes to most of the videos, so we'll just see what happens. But I could definitely tell you those first few that I mentioned, the Dinosaur RIP, the announcement, and then a few vlogs before East Coaster, I want to try and get those in within the next week or so. For East Coaster, same content as last year. I'm going to be filming everything new that is said by each of the presentations, so not the ways I formerly did it, where it was like a 2-hour vlog, just the presentations itself. And if you're at East Coaster, be sure to say hi. I'll be there getting more merch. Like, here we go. I brought some of this my last visit, but this I got at East Coaster last year. A Target from Reese's Extreme Cup Challenge. So weird stuff like that. Weird stuff. Like the Steel Force poster or flag banner thing that I own for some reason. There it is. I'm not unrolling all of this because of the pain to do, but I'll eventually have it hung up. And once I have more decorations in here, doing an official like maybe tour or something would be fun. I don't know. I lost my train of thought, but that's sort of the whole thing I got going with content in the future. So I appreciate all of you for coming on and being a part of this retrospective live stream and Q&A. It was very fun, and I can't wait to explore more in terms of content and share more of my travels with each and every one of you. So thank you all again. It is 10 p.m. We've been on for 2 hours now, so it's a pretty good length. Thank you all for tuning in. You made this a very entertaining Friday night, and we're almost through the off season, so we'll get there. We'll get there. All right. Take care, everyone. Be safe, stay warm, and I think I'm tired, so I'm going to end this stream. Bye-bye.